So why our area district's changing? Here's the insurance cost for a current teacher or retired teacher. Current teacher right now at Mayneville for Shenango Forks, Mayneville is higher. Shenango Forks projected for next year, they will pay, a family plan will cost $28,927. For the PPO plan, it would be $27,000. As you can see that, I know it's a little bit dark on the screen. The individual insurance costs will cost $11,972, and the PPO plan for individuals will be $11,130. That would be total cost for districts, regardless of if you're paying a percentage of that, your percentage would be based on that number right there. So costs are going up considerably. They raised 10.5%. This year, we project them to go up with this rate for next year. The cost, we're expecting to go up about 13.5% for the year after. So if you do the math, that's going to put us just in 2 years, we're going to be at about $34,000 a year for a family plan. So you can see kind of the acceleration. Yes, ma'am.
Is this premiums a combination of all the different plans, or is it Excellus?
This is for the Excellus. This is our current Excellus family plan insurance right now. Yep. That's current and retirees. So it's the same rate. So, and that's actually your help. Thank you. You're helping my slide here. My next slide. Thank you. So there's a full flat cost, and now for retirees 65 and over, as you may already be aware, I'm just kind of getting a baseline for everybody to have a conversation from. For retirees 65 and over, your Medicare kicks in, and 80% of that first coverage, as you can see by the green bar up there, is already covered by Medicare. So same slide, same cost, but the big idea is that although Medicare covers the first 80% of your insurance, we are paying, and those that are contributing are paying for that full 100%.
I don't know if this is a good time to bring it up, but not always, because I personally have had a situation, and I called Blue Cross Blue Shield today, and the woman explained to me, if Medicare does not cover something, Blue Cross Blue Shield will act as primary, and that happened in my case with my husband was a CPAP. In addition, she said, for example, I said, well, could you give me some examples? She said, well, like home infusions, Medicare typically doesn't cover it, but Blue Cross Blue Shield indemnity plan will. And she said sometimes doctors will not even send it to Medicare because they'll get penalized if they know Medicare will not cover it, and Blue Cross Blue Shield will. So it's not always, plus 20% of a lot is a lot of money.
Correct.
20% of a big amount is a lot of money.
So, and those are good questions, and we'll get into those specific coverages too, and how this is covered in this new plan. So what we want to move to is what we're proposing is Medicare Advantage plans are built to become kind of highlighted around what is already covered, but not double. So it would not be double covered or double paying for insurance that we already get through Medicare. So if you look at the graph up here, this is kind of the idea. The Excellus, we hold that money in on what we're seeing in premiums on that 20%, kind of whatever the Medicare won't cover, kind of to that point that you had asked. So because we're only paying for that 20% of insurance and adding those additional benefits, the cost obviously is quite a bit less. So we're letting Medicare do its job. The Advantage plans are optimized. They're built to operate around what is already covered by Medicare and then also offer some greater benefits. So that drastically reduces the cost, but also frees up some money so that we can provide some additional benefits for our retirees, because we're not double paying. So if you look at the difference here, in the previous slide, it was $29,000 for a family plan. For a retiree 65 or over on a Medicare plan, Advantage plan, it would go to $7,248, for example. Very significant savings. So, the big question is, why should we change, and why are we looking at, and, kind of a side question is, why are we looking at these types of plans? So there's a couple reasons. A few issues here. We have retired teachers that are in different situations, right? From this point on, we have teachers that will be they're paying a percentage of the premium. So as our premiums go up to $29,000 and they're paying a percentage, a share of that, what they have to pay out of pocket increases as well, right? So we're concerned about them initially right up front. And right now for next year, we have 54 retirees that are CFTA retirees that will be 65 and over for next year, that will pay, if they keep their family plan, their initial out-of-pocket expense will be at least $3,582.56. And then we have individuals, if they have an individual plan, their out-of-pocket expense for the retired teacher will be $834.84. Those are premiums in the Medicare Advantage plan that they wouldn't have to pay. So there would be quite a bit of reduction there, but the costs being so much less, that would be the savings, they would save. And the total savings would be $177,657. So $177,000 we can save in retired teachers' premiums if they contribute. We realize that there are teachers there are members of the Teacher Association that are fully vested that don't pay anything, right? So what about them?
So,
Yes, sir.
just a basic question before you go on. I'm just trying to understand this. The
Sure.
question I have is, what is Shenango Fork's intention? Is it to give the retirees the option to go with Humana's or Blue Cross and Blue Shield?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say savings, what is the savings relative to? Is it only for going with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, or is the savings relevant if you go to Humana's?
Yeah.
What is this relative?
We'll speak to that when we get to Brown and Brown. They go right through that. They'll have the exact numbers for you.
Perfect.
But the numbers that I calculated there to answer your question are for the Excellus Advantage plan. Yeah, just to answer your question. The Humana is they're very comparable. It's slightly more expensive.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
but we're going to have both options for retirees. So here we go. So with the optimized advantage plans, Excellus or Humana, they're focused on covering what's not covered by Medicare, but not overlapping that coverage, so to decrease the cost. So they're able to, because of that savings, add additional benefits, such as there would be a zero deductible if you see one now. One of the areas that we see as a main, these are just a couple of highlights. Brown and Brown's going to go through a lot of them in detail, but here are some of the main ones that we experienced that we talked to our retirees about before, the people that have already moved. So we have right now there will be a $400 maximum on any prescription drug payment. Right now it could be up to $5,900. So a little bit of extra protection there. If you visited an eye doctor or a hearing doctor in the last year or so and gotten a checkup, you would have paid out of pocket for those visits. In this situation, they're fully paid for if you move to the new plan. And then also they have a great, as a side note, I don't want to take all your thunder, I'm taking all the good news. So, but what's one of the big things too is hearing aids. There is no coverage in your current insurance for hearing aids. Right now, there's a cap on how much you can pay for hearing aids, and then the Medicare Advantage plans will pick up the rest, depending on Humana or Excellus. I believe the Excellus plan is $599, so $699. Excuse me, thank you. So I didn't have it in front of me. That's why I got to check with the experts. So, but they average, and hearing aid averages about $2,500 to $3,500. Per hearing aid, so significant savings there. And then, what we're adding to is with our new agreement with working with local Brown and Brown with their agency. We're very excited to have them working with us fully now. We've worked with them a little bit in the past, but now we have them. They're fully our insurance agent. They're the agent for the district, but they're your personal agent. They're not the insurance company. They're here to advocate for you, to work with you. So what we're working on with them is getting this set up so that they can come out and advocate for you. So just before I turn it over to them, one thing I want to kind of settle on is we've had some experiences with this changeover in the past. We've had some people that we moved, we've analyzed their performance. It's been very good, positive. We had some We had some guarantees in the back end that if you received a bill that should have been covered by your old insurance, or think should have been covered by the old insurance, you can send it to us, and if you made that move, you can send it to us, and we'll check it, and if it was supposed to be covered, we would pay that. That's been in place for a few years, and we paid no claims on that so far. There's been no claims. So with those pieces put in place, I just want to say that we've had, we realized that retirees have individualized in different medical situations, right? So you have your own medical history, your own medical concerns, and I've been fortunate to meet with, I've said, about a dozen retirees already in just the last few days as they talk about some of their individual situations. And we get that, some examples that we might share may not apply to you and you still have those concerns. So that's where we really want to offer that benefit of ground and ground and invite you to come in and meet with them. We would even set that up. We could even work that out. We talked about that using our district office as a home base for you to be able to meet with them. And they can go through your insurance, your medical situation, and they can talk to you specifically about where your benefits lie and where those advantages are about for moving to this new plan. So, yes, sir.
I don't understand. You did not show any Humana figures, and you said the Humana plan that you're going to offer now is more expensive than the Excellus plan.
Yep, they're going to show that.
That was not true for the last 2 years. The Humana plan was much cheaper.
Yeah, no, the Excellus Advantage plan, sir. So there's an Excellus Medicare Advantage plan. That's a new product that we're offering, as well as the Humana plan. So those are the two items that we're offering because we realized that the feedback from retirees that we talked to and also current members said that, we really like Excellus. We'd like to have an option to stay with Excellus if we can because we're comfortable with that company.
Okay, so for the last 2 years, you were on Humana.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the Humana Medicare Advantage.
Sure, yeah.
But everyone else was over 65, was on the Excellus plan, but that was not a Medicare.
That was not a Medicare Advantage plan.
So what you're doing now is switching to a Excellus.
Keep an Excellus, but move into an Advantage plan, correct?
So that's why Humana is going to be slightly more expensive now than the Excellus.
Correct, yep, you got it, and they'll take you, they're gonna show you both plans. The reason I didn't put the Humana plan on there is because we've already sent out that information and it hasn't changed. And I wanted to feature the new product that we were able to offer to stay with Excellus. And these guys are gonna go through both of those options for you in depth right now, so, yes, yep.
Up there you have 100% on vision and hearing exams.
Mhm.
This is currently not covered. Well, vision exam by an ophthalmologist is covered on the Medicare.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's not correct.
It's not covered by Excellus so if as a current employee, you get it through Medicare, but as a current employee, if I walk out tomorrow and I go to get an eye exam, which I actually did last year, I had to pay the whole bill.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So that kind of explains that that is not a benefit for people who are on Medicare. That's not a benefit. We already have it. And the same thing for hearing exams. It's already covered for the Excellus and the Medicare. Not the cost of insurance.
oh, is it covered? Okay, yeah, so that would be one that's, yeah,
Explained there, that's not covered.
with the Medicare. Okay, yeah, so I was gonna say, we're looking at the benefits charts as you looked at, and when you have something that's covered by Medicare, that's something we go back to, the current teachers and the retired teachers have that same insurance, so that's one thing that it does pick up and cover, but if it's covered by Medicare, we wouldn't see that benefit, so I understand where you're coming from. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mentioned a little bit before, yes, sir?
You back that slide up a little bit.
Move it back, yeah.
You talked about family plan and individual plan there a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
You were talking about retirees that are in individual plan and they pay them.
Correct, yes, sir.
We're not talking about people that don't pay anything.
Yes, so that's where I was talking, that's what this slide was meant for, yeah. So what they've done is essentially to sum up with that is they realize that you're not paying a premium up front. So why we're offering this product specifically is because it's built to offer additional benefits on the back end as far as services like gym memberships, some of the other things, the hearing aid pieces like that, that also, so you have that full coverage plus some additional benefits. Yeah. So at this point, I'd like to turn things over to a couple of gentlemen that you may recognize and a new young lady that we might need to introduce to you. But we're from Brown and Brown, and they're going to actually go through in depth and talk to you about the benefits and the different packages that are available. All of their, I believe, all of the forms that they're going to share with you today are available on our website, which we can show you very quickly here. Just a second. If you go back to our website, I just want to give you a quick tour. If you go up to menu here at the top, and under staff, there's a. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Geez, I think I better go in the window, don't I? So if you go to our menu item, you'll see retiree information. And right there, here are all the links to all the information as well as our Zoom link for our presentation today. Well, you want to be sitting in front of your computer doing that. I mean, not in front of a big screen. It's definitely. Did you want to start here, Dave? All right, so I'm going to turn things over to Dave Sebastianelli, and he's going to kick things off for Brown and Brown. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting us in. It's kind of exciting and a little nerve-wracking to be back at your own high school. I know exactly what most of you are thinking. You wish Kristen and Katie were here instead. I graduated in '98. My sister graduated in '96. She was definitely much smarter. Jack graduated in '99, and his sister also graduated. So we're Shenango Forks people. Our family's from Shenango Forks. We actually still live in the area. I've been with Brown and Brown 11 years. We have a local office in Vestal, right on the Vestal Parkway off of Old Vestal Road. Jack's been now working side by side with me for about 6 years, and all we do is specialize in employee benefits. So we work with a number of different school districts. We represent the district and all of its employees and retirees. Our job as the independent consultant is to have access to all of the different insurance carriers, to negotiate on your behalf, hold them accountable, get you the best benefits at the lowest rates. We help communicate just like we do, like we're doing now. And then we're here for you throughout this entire transition. The most important person over here that I didn't introduce yet is Cheryl Clary. She's our account executive. We also have a team of people that work side by side with us so that if there's an individual retiree question, because we all know most people have individual situations that are going on. And so if you have an individual question that you don't feel comfortable bringing up here in front of the group, that's what we're here for. So over the next 30, 60, 90 days, we want to take the time, we want to have several of these conversations, and we want to answer the questions that all of you have. And if we don't have the answer here, we work very closely with both Humana and Excellus. So it doesn't matter to us which carrier you pick. We want to make sure that you understand which carrier offers which benefits, what is the right fit for you and your family, and then we're going to help make sure that we hold them accountable throughout. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to slide through this. And Jack and Cheryl will interrupt me and add if and when. Please, if you have questions, jump in, ask me. I just wanted to share a brief overview of kind of. Okay. So in addition, we just have a few slides. I already kind of hit on a lot of what it is, but then we're going to get into actually the side-by-side benefits, where we can show each benefit by each benefit compared to each coverage and answer your question. So I mentioned we're Brown and Brown. We are, even though we're local, we're one of the largest insurance consulting firms in the country. part of the reason that, and Dr. Mr. Burkhardt mentioned it, we were asked by the VTE consortium. So that's the consortium today that handles your active health insurance. They asked us if we can help the consortium find a Medicare Advantage plan for all of its members. Because they're seeing it being done individually. We work with Binghamton City Schools, they did it. Windsor did it. They did it separate outside of the consortium. The consortium now says, well, there's obvious advantages to this benefit for retirees, and we want to be able to offer it to our members. And so that's how Brown and Brown got brought in to the BTD consortium. We went out to the market. We got quotes from all of the different carriers, United Healthcare, Humana, Excellus, and others, and we were able to get Excellus to be able to offer the most competitive rates within this consortium. Okay, so that's part of it. The other part is we also work in all the lines of benefits. So we're just talking about health, retiree health insurance right now, but we have experience in all lines of coverage, and we support over 24 schools. At least over a dozen of them have implemented or in the process of implementing Medicare Advantage plans. A lot has happened over the years. The active plans continue to rise uncontrollably. Pharmacy drugs continue to rise uncontrollably. And there's a lot of positive things happening on the Medicare Advantage plans. They're being managed, they're being, more resources are being available. And so they're taking on, actually they're getting more competitive. I see some people ready to move on. So you don't have to tell me twice. I'm bored with insurance too, and I do it every day. No, I'm just joking. All right, retiree support. I mentioned Cheryl or Stephanie is another teammate. You can write these numbers down. You can call us directly if you have a personal question. We have contact sheets too, so you can even take one if you like. But we are an advocate for you, and you can reach out to any one of the two carriers. We talked about this. I think many of you are familiar with how this operates right now. If you're over the age of 65, retired, you're enrolled in Part A, Medicare Part A, and Medicare Part B. And right now, you're using the school active plan as a wraparound to the medical, plus your pharmacy. Okay, so that's how it works here, Medicare Part A, Part B, plus the supplement with the school, which includes your medication, Part D. What we're talking about, moving to a Medicare Advantage plan, brings it all together. Medicare Advantage plans are also called Medicare Part C. It encompasses all of those pieces, but into one card under one insurance carrier. You don't lose any benefits. You'll see Part A, you'll see Part B, you'll see the drug coverage, and we talked about some enhancements. I'm going to talk about the enhancements in more detail. Yes?
Is a drug plan, is that simply prescription still, or is that different?
So it's still, the prescription is still going to be through Excellus, but it will be different than the simply prescriptions that you have today. It's still Excellus, but yes.
So are you also well versed with the original Medicare and the indemnity plan supplemental? I don't know if you also deal with that.
Sure,
as well.
sure.
So one thing I have come to understand, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at my indemnity plan card, and it says it's a non-profit independent licensee of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. Is it an Advantage plan a for-profit insurance company owning it, and that's a difference? Is that true?
So the answer for the answer is for Excellus. Excellus is actually a nonprofit, Blue Cross Blue Shield, so that doesn't change anything. There are for-profit companies like United Healthcare, for example, but Excellus is a not-for-profit. So we can all debate. Yes.
And, the was a thing about the mailing for prescriptions. Is that the only way to get prescriptions? Go to CVS or Walmart?
No, you can definitely go to any local CVS or Walmart. There is an advantage of getting it in the mail. You get a discount and you get it delivered right to your house, but you don't have to. You can go into the pharmacy. So we already talked about the Medicare being primary. This was, we work with a lot of schools. Some have retirees that pay very little or nothing. And I realize my better half is a teacher, and she reminds me of, the sacrifice for the health insurance. And so I don't take that for granted at all. But I do want to just acknowledge and point out some of the other benefits that are included that maybe not tied to what you pay out of for the actual health plan. So Tom mentioned it a few times. We're going to talk about it in the side-by-side. But right now you have a deductible that you have to pay out of pocket, plus co-insurance up to a certain dollar amount out of pocket. That's whether you pay for the insurance or not. So most of those medical services are going to be covered in full on this new plan. The only co-pays, the only costs that you will incur are for pharmacy. So on this, you'll see co-pays for $2 or $10, depending on the tier of medication. You'll also see an eyewear allowance. So I see a lot of glasses in the room. If you pay for those, you can submit your receipt to Excellus or Humana, and you get a $100 eyewear allowance, $100 back. There's other hearing aid allowance, a wellness program, and there's another dining program if you have inpatient surgery. Humana actually delivers 10 meals to your home. So there's a lot of hands-on extra benefits. The other thing is you get one card. Okay, so we're illustrating, these are just examples of the cards, but it's just one card. Right now you have your red, white, and blue Medicare card, right? Then you have your the active card, and then you may have the prescription drug different or the same. But this is all going to be now one card. So you walk into the pharmacy, you walk into the doctor's office, and you still keep your Medicare card, but this is now what you show, because everything is run through this. It's not going to be run through Medicare first and then this. This is now your new insurance card. Everything runs through there.
I'll introduce myself since you didn't introduce me. My name is Shelley Jewell. I've taught 34 years here at Chamber, and I'm a retired teacher. I also was a taxpayer here at Chamber. And I'm a health educator. So just explain to me, because I'm a little confused. I am on the Blue Cross Blue Shield regular class, that they don't want to pay for it. And that is with the federal Medicare program, right? These Advantage plans, you are no longer in that federal program?
No, that's not true. You're still in the federal Medicare program. You're not leaving Medicare. You still are required to be enrolled in Part A and Part B. It's required in order to be enrolled in this Medicare Part C plan.
Okay. Yeah. So, but you don't use your Medicare card. Who pays the Medicare?
Nothing changes with that arrangement. So whatever that arrangement is, continues.
The insurance company pays for Medicare.
The insurance company
I
pays
think if you
Medicare?
pay for Medicare.
No.
I think the confusion is.
Yeah, it depends. There could be Social Security, there could be a school district contract that pays portions of it. Whatever that Part B is for you, that doesn't change with moving into this Medicare Advantage plan.
I think maybe the confusion is this, we have to Humana pays for whole claims, I'm assuming they get reimbursed by Medicare.
Yeah, there's a whole
Right.
interaction
You
between
don't
the
get
care.
an EOB from Medicare, and an EOB from Humana, you get one from Humana, and they deal with Medicare.
That's right.
That's where the confusion I think is.
And you tell me, but I think from your perspective, is that simplified to just get one EOB
It's
versus?
wonderful.
Okay. And you please,
The other question I have is, there's certain enrollment periods for Medicare, the federal government, Medicare, and this enrollment, which is the Advantage plans. So how does that coincide with us if we're going to go from July to July and only have to be on it for a year? How can we re-opt into the other if the enrollment period is October to December?
So Mrs. Gould, this is,
Yeah.
this is a custom Medicare Advantage plan that was built for the BTD consortium, and it's very different than what you see on the commercials. So there's no donut holes, there's no cost to you. This is, you can't get it out on the marketplace. This is only through the school. And so the special enrollment period, that's all separate for.
Yeah, but what if I want to go back to it? That's what I'm asking.
Well, then
I don't
that's.
have- There's no special enrollment? You just go back to it? So that Blue Cross Blue Shield that I'm on right now is also going to still be in the teacher's contract stating that I will be able to go back to that?
That's the agreement we're working on, yeah.
Well, you know, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Now, the Advantage plans, there is an enrollment requirement as well. And that's separate from the federal Medicare. It's a different, so if you wanted to move from one Advantage plan to another, you're saying that doesn't include this good sort. You
Well,
don't
so,
have to do that.
so maybe I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe someone else could.
Yeah, so each year, retirees have the option to enroll for January 1st. This Excellus plan that we're talking about went into effect July of 21, and it was an 18-month plan. So it actually renews January 1st of 23. So retirees would enroll in the Humana or the Excellus plan July 1st of this year. And then come November, will be an open enrollment period to enroll for January 1st of 23. At that point, you can stay with Excellus or Humana, or depending on how the contract reads, go back to the Excellus commercial plan.
That's what we written in the contract.
That's our intent.
And Medicare Advantage plans in general, they go from calendar year, so January to December. This Excellus plan was custom, it was done in the middle of the year, but it renews January 1st of every year. Same with the Humana plans. And so each November, retirees will have an open enrollment period where you'll be able to elect Excellus, Humana, or the commercial.
I know, but if they're saying that we need to be on it for a full year, that November is going to end up being longer than a full year. Correct?
Well,
Shorter.
Technically,
Yeah, we've worked the agreement out so that it matches with that, so that's our intent is to experience it for about a year. But we have to, you know, if there's a set enrollment piece, we have to abide by that.
Yes, it's only once every year. You can only do it once a year.
This year to January.
So it's either a short time or a long time, right? I mean, it's not a full year.
right, I guess it'd either be a 6-month and then the next year.
So as a retiree, we're looking at 3 choices then instead of the 2 choices. We're looking at Humana, the Excellus Medicare Advantage, and staying with what we have.
So if we could do it this way, Dave doesn't really have anything to do with the contract or what we're trying to do as far as agreements. We'd like to have Dave and Jack talk about specifically about the benefits and the differences in the plans, and then I can answer those questions as we work forward. But I will say, we don't have a set agreement yet. I can tell you what our intent is, what we'd like to do, but we don't have an agreement in place yet. So presently, we're hoping to be able, our hope is to be able to offer the Excellus BTD plan, but we don't actually have a full agreement. So just to be clear.
Is there a residence requirement? Do you have to be a resident? There's not.
As long as.
Yeah, as long as you're retired. No, there's no.
You don't have to
They
live any, you
removed
don't
that
have to live.
a year or so ago. You used to have to live in the service area for 6 months. They removed that.
But technically there is, if you're only in a certain, you only have certain doctors and hospitals and whatever you can go to. You're technically pretty much in that area of residence.
We'll get into the network
As far as the Excellus and Internet network.
See, I might ask, I think what Carol asked, right now, over 65, retired and over 65, you're going to, or you intend to have a choice, 3 choices. You can choose the Excellus Classic Blue, or the Excellus Medicare Advantage, or the Humana Advantage, correct? That's basically what we're doing, correct? That's what your intent is.
Yeah, like I said, we're still working on that agreement, so I don't know exactly what those choices will look like. That's something we have to figure out. But right now, we're comparing the different plans for you. So I can get into that afterwards, but right now, Dave just wants to talk about the differences between the different plans. Yeah.
So I think that.
But there are 3 things to compare. That's, that's part of what we're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
We're going to have a choice of those 3. Yes, that's what we want to know.
Yeah, indirectly, what it is, our intent is to, we'd like everybody to try one of the advantage plans for a year.
That's not what your letter said.
But your letter never said that. Your letter said those 2 things. Never said what we have right now. Never said that.
Yep, and that's,
And I asked you that on the phone.
and that's what I'm saying.
You never gave me an answer. I asked you 2 times, and you still didn't give me an answer. And that's what you think the problem is. Right there.
And I'm answering that right
It's
now,
not a good question for me.
and I did answer you on the phone.
You did not. You did not give me an answer, so we could keep our. Never said that.
Our intent is to have every retiree try the different plans, and then after
That's
a
not
set amount of time,
asking all
they have an option to go back. So,
we have a choice.
All the people in this room are gonna tell you, they don't wanna change. They
Right, I
want to do what they have.
I understand. So,
The other issue while we're on it.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, I'm not gonna get a chance to talk right now, so when you're done, let me know and I'll answer the questions. You're asking me questions, but then you're talking over, so I'm trying to respond. So, here's my point. We would like to, our intent is that we have people try the new insurance because it is cost effective. We believe that, we fully believe that people will experience a better benefit with these new insurances. If they don't experience those benefits, all they have to do is let us know and we will move them back to the old insurance. So to answer your question, it's not a yes, no answer, as you can tell by my response. Eventually, there are all 3 options are available to you, but we would like to have at least everybody try.
Do you understand when you switch insurances as an elder person, you're switching doctors, you're switching medication, you're switching, you can't just switch.
I've been through this process with my
Right,
unit before, yeah. Yeah, I'm aware of
And
that.
that to me is the biggest concern that people, you don't understand. That's why we don't want to switch. Because we want to keep the doctors intact for the last 20 years. We want to keep the medications that we're on, or new medications that may not even be available with these the cancer meds and things like that. And you're calling people, your letter here states that there's only 2 choices. And you're making.
Initially, yes, yep.
And you also are saying that it's a done deal.
I didn't.
Yes, you said, your retirees will now have the option to choose from 2 plans.
The Excellus plan, the Excellus PT plan, we did not have as an option before. So now we're adding
I know,
options.
but you didn't include that. You didn't include that. You're saying it's a done deal. How can it be a done deal? It's not in the contract.
Yeah, we're working on it.
But you said it is. In your letter, you said it is a done deal.
Our intent is to offer that.
That's not the intent. You're saying that we only have a choice, and that's why we're upset. Is that you wrote a letter stating that these are the changes that are taking place, and it's wrong. Your letter is bogus.
I'm sorry that you read that from the intent of what I was trying.
I don't know how people else read it.
The intent of what I was trying to communicate is that we were adding another option for you. So I apologize that you got that.
Can I answer your question too? So, and I don't want to, I'm not.
Yeah, and that's what I want to say too. I'm hearing some fears with that change, and these guys can answer that piece of that, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to answer those pieces.
And I genuinely, I'm sitting up here, we've worked with more than a dozen schools And we've helped people just like you, Mrs. Dool, transition to, well, from the current carrier to the new carrier. And you wouldn't necessarily have to change your doctor. That's not part of
Yeah,
the.
but that's necessarily, you don't know it.
Well,
You don't know if, you cannot say that we don't have to change your doctor. Please don't say that. You say you might not have to change.
I could say though, in all of our,
But I'm saying right now, I don't have to change that. With my current insurance, I do not have to change that.
right, and there's a
But
very
you're
distinct
saying
which
you might
has
have to, and that's the
to.
concern.
If we can have a conversation about it, that's what we're here for. We're here to help everyone understand that these Advantage plans are not new. You're not the first one going on to it. And I promise you, it's not like we're selling you this bull crap thing and then we're gonna run off. I don't understand.
That. I understand. that
So
you
if
can
I-
offer these other insurances. I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad you are, because other people might have other needs and issues in their family and in their healthcare. But when we already have insurance that works for you, which I took less money for many years in our teachers' contracts that we fought for, and now somebody comes along and wants to change that, it's upsetting to me.
Well, understandable.
And that's why I don't have a problem. These plans are good. I mean, I talked to my lawyer, he looked at them and he said, God, they're great. They are, but my plan is better. And you can't say that it isn't. It is better. And something might work better for other people with this, but right now, that's the issue that I know I have, and there may be other people that might have as well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, so that's part of what we're here for. So if people like you that have those concerns, we want to talk to you. We want to see which doctor you're meeting with, what medication.
I can't do that. I can't spend the time to go through and see, well, if this drug is done and stuff. The Blue Cross Blue Shield here that I have right now, if Medicare doesn't pay, they do. I don't have any problem with it. I don't want to have to go through and tell you what my medical needs are.
I do,
And what doctors I'm using.
it's just an offer to help
I know,
through the
I know.
transition.
That's
And
me.
so,
I don't want to do that.
We want to keep what we have, sorry, Kelly. We want to keep what we have. We don't want anything else.
I understand, that's very clear, but.
No, it's not clear. It's clear to you, David, but it's not clear to the administration.
I know, but I think if I can, this is not probably my place, but it's not just about that. It's about budgets. It's about $20 million. It's about this thing can't sustain the way they've been
I
going.
worked my whole life.
I know. And so
You know
what we're
what?
trying to do.
Retirees should not be funding education or current teachers. And that's what's happening. We're saving money, and yes, it's a lot of money. Why do we have to take it away from insurance just because it's a high cost? Like Shelley said, we have taken a less salary over the years, and we have fought for the diamond insurance that we have, and it's not the same. Shelley kind of alluded to you. Can you say it is exactly the same? Can we go to whatever doctor we want to? Can we go out of network, in network, and not worry? And that's where the fear is.
There's no network and an indemnity,
Well,
you can do
so-
whatever you want.
So what we're asking you to do is take a look at those different items. These guys can help you through, there are agents, so they can do that work, you know, the heavy lift that you're talking about. I don't have time to, they can do that for you, sit down and go through those situations with you, right? So they'll do that for you. They just want time to meet to go over, there are insurance agents, so they have access to our claims, to our bills. So they can go through your situation with you, they can do all that work for you and show you where the benefits are. That's all we're asking for, is the
That's
opportunity.
why I like this insurance, I don't have to do it.
Right, and that's, you wouldn't have to do that in this situation either, that's what we're trying to explain. So, yep.
Also,
What insurance you have. Do you have Humana or Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you're on Medicare, the doctors have to take.
Right.
If they're a Medicare doctor, they have to
If
take
they-
it no matter what.
Yep, that is the case.
It's all, that's all argument is for now.
It's really only if the doctors aren't accepting.
And if they aren't accepting Medicare from their private and no insurance is gonna pay for any of it.
Right.
Don't disagree with that, but I can't just across the board say everyone's covered.
Yeah, we don't know.
There's nuances with that, but you're exactly right.
That's right.
If your doctors are accepting Medicare, they're accepting Medicare reimbursement, which is the same amount that these two insurance carriers are paying that doctor. So it's the same thing. It's just-
David, can I ask you a question? Because this would kind of allay some of my fears. What I've heard in the little, and I'm certainly not knowledgeable in this stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong. My fear is that what I've heard about these advantage plans and what I understand from talking to Tom, that this is in you tonight, that there is a difference, like you guys have come up with this extra plan that you can't go out and get it on the market. What if your doctor that you have says, this is what I want this test for, Mrs. Smith, or this drug? Because what I've heard in my little research is that Humana and now this advantage plan could say no, that doctor portion has been taken out. So is that true?
So no, you do not need a referral with this Medicare Advantage plan. That's another street kind of rumor, right? If you're going out, there are certain restrictions, or used to be a requirement. Also, under this plan, we built in specifically that there's no prior authorization for pharmacy or step therapy. Okay, so what that means is if you're currently taking medication under the current active plan, regardless of the reason, it's going to be automatically approved under the new plan. Okay, step therapy prior auth that are normally included in plans would have required your doctor to prove that they got authorization or that they tried a different medication. So that also puts you and Mrs. Dool at ease in terms of transitioning any medication that you're taking. There's no step therapy or prior authorization required moving to the new plan.
So if my doctor says this test I want Catalog to have, then you're saying that this advantage plan would say yes, and they're not gonna come back and say no.
Yeah, if it's medically necessary, yes. Yes.
Is that just for what
You're right.
you're taking now? What you're taking now, you will be able to
No.
have?
Well, that's true, and moving forward. So there will not be any step therapy or prior auth in this Medicare Advantage plan.
So anything your doctor wants you to have, you can. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's medically necessary, and yeah, but yes, if your doctor says that you need this, then yes, would be coverage.
David, is that with both the Humana and the Blue Cross?
Yeah, and actually, I'm just about to get into it. We only have about another hour or so of material. So, but one of the things, and whenever the time is right, okay, so maybe it's not now, but maybe, right, you see some opportunities when we start going through this, but one of the things you'll start noticing is on the advantage plans, here is the middle blue. This is the Excellus.
Turn the lights down.
Yeah, I go back to, it's gonna get dark, really dark in here, is that like it was before, is that okay?
It's okay.
Sorry.
You'll be able to see it, but this is available on the website too, just to.
I know.
And so I just want to point out that right now, if you go to a doctor's, certain doctor visits, there's a deductible of $50 per person. Right now, and this is the active plan. Okay, this is your current classic blue indemnity. You pay $50 per person, is the deductible. Then after you pay that, then you have to pay 20% of whatever else, up to $400.
We've never paid, never, ever. From January 1.
Okay.
That
Well,
may be
we-
with the consortium, what I don't understand is that with the consortium, so maybe they cover that, somebody covers that.
Well, depends on, this is the classic blue. I know we verified it with Excellus. We got confirmation from them in writing that this is how it operates. So I'd be happy to go back to them and get clarification. This is what we were told.
David, I think that would be a good idea because I have never stayed out of pocket for $100.
It's-
Either
It's-
one.
So what normally happens, let me share down here. So you'll see there are certain things that are covered in full, okay? Outpatient surgery, office surgery, diagnostic lab. However, allergy testing and injections. Okay, so that if you go in for allergies or testing, you have to pay the $50 deductible, then 20% up to a total of $400.
Sir, no, I get allergy injections, and so does my husband. And now that we're on Medicare, we have not had to pay that 20% with the, having the Medicare and the classic blue plan. We do not have any other expenses, just our $50 deductible at the beginning of the year, and that's it. We do not pay 20%
Okay.
of our injections.
I,
We would have been on a regular basis.
When we get the bill, what it tells us what we spend, it does not, it adds down the co-insurance, but if they don't charge us that.
okay, well, I appreciate that. We'll obviously have to go back to Excellus. We got written confirmation from them, so.
It is written that way, you know, I don't know.
I can't see the. So I'm now trying to get.
So I want to see how the things in the lights on.
Yeah, that might be easier.
Yeah, you want handouts? Can you go back to one? Thank you. Yeah. Too dark. He said there's no happy medium, I apologize. Yeah, that is actually quite a bit better. Thank you, Nate. I didn't realize about that thing.
David, when your insurance there with the network, can you explain it? They did try to do another, I look up the doctor.
Yeah.
So, most of our doctors are kids. So are we part of, right now, it says in network, when I get a Blue Cross Blue Shield. State, but the doctors are also a hospital.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, with this Medicare Advantage plan, there is in-network and out-of-network benefits. In-network, though, is anywhere in the nation that is within the Excellus Blue Medicare PPO network. Okay, so you could definitely be in New York City and have coverage. That shouldn't be. Correct. Yeah.
So that's not that great as an incentive.
Well, you're correct, Mrs. Roby, but you still have national coverage, and you could go see any of the doctors that are within the network.
But when I did a specialist, I researched who's the best in that particular disease. I don't care what network they're in.
Understandable, but this is one of the largest networks. I think you.
Another thing we did was we took the last 12 months of claims that everybody's incurred on the classic blue Excellus plan, and we ran it through the Excellus Medicare network and the Humana network, and both were about a 98% match. So 98% of all claims that went through the Excellus commercial plan are in network with Excellus and Humana. So there's very, very little disruption regardless of specialist where you went. There's very little disruption.
And that's great. I wish you shared that with us earlier. That is great. And that is also, you know, as far as the transition, we talked a little bit about that too. People were worried about the transition, Dave, of you're just going to get a new card, basically, right? You're not going to see any change. You're not going to see a lapse in coverage. You're not going to see any change. You're not going to get a note from your doctor that says we can't see each other anymore. You're not going to get those things. And with that 98% coverage, there is still 2%, right? And I'm sure you're thinking that, what about that 2%? We still have that guarantee in place that if you have anything, if you experience anything that is not covered, that should have been covered by your other insurance, and even if you're not sure, send it to us and we'll check for you. We don't want you to do any of that work. If you get a bill and you don't think you should have, send it to us and we will pay for you, okay? And then what's that? Yeah, for 5 years, and we plan on extending that, yes. Yep, thanks.
Is that 50,000 per person?
That's what we put aside, but we will pay, we're gonna pay any claim that comes in.
50,000 per person per retiree. not the total 50,000.
No, there's a 50,000 that we've set aside.
No, but I'm saying, wouldn't it be 50,000 per person? I mean, you're
Yeah,
talking.
we haven't paid a claim yet, so if we get to that, we will pay the claims.
But you know,
Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit for that,
Yeah.
because if you don't lay a claim and you go ahead and let everything go through until you get everybody else on this plan, then what happens is the claims all of a sudden start to not go through. It's kind of a, you know, I commend you on it. It's a good.
We've already moved and worked with data from a number of other districts in the region, and that does not happen. The coverage stays the coverage, it doesn't change.
And how long have they been on?
So, I can tell you, Ann, we've been at it for 6 years. So all of the retirees in the entire district have all moved, they've seen, we have not had, to my knowledge, as of when I was employed with them as of July 1st, when we got our last benefit change, there has not been one claim that hasn't been covered that was reported. So 0. So that's why we'll pay any claim, we'll continue that guarantee. A, because we're confident that we're not gonna get it, because it is good coverage. And B, we want to make sure that we want that information at the back of it, because if any of those, we come up and we want that guarantee in place for you to feel better. But if we get that, then I'm gonna go right to Dave and say, why wasn't this covered? And we're gonna take a look at it, and we're gonna figure out how to make sure that it is covered in the future.
So he makes the decision whether it's covered.
No, he's an agent, but no, I'm saying,
Yeah, but he could find out.
we would find out why it's not covered, and he could communicate with the insurance companies to figure out why it wasn't covered, and we figure out how to fix it.
And you do know that $50,000 when you are on cancer drugs is nothing.
Well,
It's minuscule.
yeah, and that's one of the areas
So
where our
maybe you need to
conversation
Maybe
before.
you need to up it a little bit,
Yeah.
because $50,000 wouldn't cover.
Yeah, I'm saying unlimited, we're gonna cover a claim, if you get a claim that should have been covered, that isn't, we're gonna pay, take the number off, but we're gonna pay. And what I'm also saying too is, especially with those drugs, correct me if I'm wrong, is right now, the maximum amount of pocket that you can pay is $5,900. With the new plan, it would be $400, correct? So that's where those cancer treatments, those drugs, especially those tier 1 drugs, I'm saying it wrong, it's not tier 4. Tier 4. I know the tiers, they work differently from either way. So those highest end drugs, those non-generics, especially those experimental cancer treatment type drugs that they're prescribing, those new types of things, they're very, very expensive. When you're going to that, you could be paying on your current insurance, you could be paying almost $6,000 a year for those treatments. In the new plan, the most you could ever pay would be $400, correct? Yeah. So those are some of those features, those benefits that we put in the package. You're not going to see them because we know we don't pay premiums, but those are some of the benefits, those protections we're going to get in the backside of things.
Just one more question on the network and the maximum network, it says you could pay up to $8,000. In network, it says $1,250, but in one place it says does not apply, the other place says.
Yeah, so let me walk through the Excellus Medicare Advantage plan. So that middle column there, you have in-network and out-of-network. Remember, Jack said 98, 99% was in-network. Go anywhere in the nation that accepts the Excellus Blue Medicare. Under medical services, we actually have the Excellus and Humana benefit summaries. But in the summary, it's a protection. It's $1,250, which is a cap on all medical services. But what you end up seeing is as you go down, you'll
Yeah, that's a tough one.
as you go down the sheet, you'll see inpatient hospitalization, 0 copay. Inpatient physician, 0 copay. Skilled nursing, 0 copay. Emergency room, 0. And so I'm kind of redundant, but you can see outpatient services covered at 100%, 0. So in other words, the medical max, if you were paying a copay of $10 each time, it would get applied towards the maximum, and then you would be covered in full after that. But we're simply noting it that it's built into the plan, but it won't apply because there's technically no medical costs that you would incur. Does that make sense? You see all of your medical benefits, outpatient surgery, diagnostic lab, radiation, chemotherapy, dialysis, acupuncture is a new benefit that you don't have today. Ambulance, hospice, so you see everything is $0 to you as the retiree. Okay? As you go down, you'll see some of those other enhancements, the vision benefit, the hearing aid allowance, there's a gym membership for $25 a year. You get access to several different gyms here locally under this plan. And for those that do pay something, it is substantially less expensive overall, and that's where you would save as well. Now, I want to go back to the top of this page and just notate that even though medical services are covered at 100%, pharmacy, okay, so if you're taking medication, generics under the Excellus plan are $2. Any other tier, 2, 3, or 4 is $10. Okay, that's for a 30-day supply. Same thing with Humana. So under these plans, that would be your cost that you would incur throughout the year if you took medication.
Yeah, but what about 90 days?
You get a 90-day supply.
Because that's
Right.
Does it only do 30 days or?
So,
For 90 days?
so 30-day script, that's the pickup at the retail. 90-day, you can get it delivered to your home for one copay.
Yeah, and yeah, a 90-day supply, right? Yes, for one okay,
Yeah,
right?
yes, you can.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
So-
they have to do the advantage.
So the difference is under the Advantage plan is that you would, in order to get the discount for the 90-day prescription, you would get it delivered to your home. You could still go into the pharmacy and pick it up, but you would actually have to pay for the free copays.
Yeah, that's not equal to what the current people have, and this has to be equal or better.
If they're true.
You go right to the pharmacy, you get 90 days for the two of them. Whatever.
We're in Indiana, 90 days is $2.
Yeah.
It's $2.
I have a question on the skilled nursing facility. It says, we have days 1 through 365, there's 0 copay per day. Day 365 plus, so I'm assuming after 365, the plan pays nothing. So are you, what is, you know what that means?
Yeah, it's kind of the way that they have their benefit summary. What that really means is that you pay nothing and there's no limit to how many days you can be there.
There is no.
Because after a year, it resets.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no limit, there's no cost, and there's no limit.
Okay.
We just match their benefit summary. It's the way that they write it up.
I looked up what the PTO is, and it says that, you pay less if you go to, someone in the network, but outside of the network, there's an additional cost.
It's
Does
10%.
that mean that I can go outside of the network, I'm just paying more, or I can't go if the doctor doesn't belong to this? But it's also a new plan, so it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, it's new, so how many doctors will belong to that?
Yeah, so it's not, so PPO is just their preferred provider organization. Okay, and that is their national contracts. So they have, this has been in place for years and years and years. It's not new. So they have contracted docs that are under their Blue Cross Medicare plan. And as this lady mentioned, if the docs typically are, if they're accepting Medicare, it's the same reimbursement amount. So they're not losing.
So can I go anywhere?
So out of network, under the middle plan, you only, yes, you can go anywhere, and you would only pay 10% of the cost.
So you have 10% of something.
If you go online, it doesn't tell you.
Say that again?
How do we know what doctors, facilities are in that network? Go online, it doesn't tell you.
Well, so there is
It
a,
lists them, but it doesn't tell you what they're in or out of network.
oh, okay, so if it's listing them, that indicates that they're in network. There's a link,
If you select the Medicare plan, and you're searching for the doctor, And then your doctor comes up and you're looking up the Medicare plan, you're in the network.
But you'll pay something if they're out of network, or you'll pay, or you can't even go.
No, you can still go see any doctor that you want, but if they don't participate with the Excellus Medicare Blue PPO, then you would be paying out-of-network benefits on this plan, which is 10% of the cost.
Well, should we go?
And it's your choice, obviously. What we could do is help you find an in-network provider. Because most times, there would be an option for you. It's not like you wouldn't have it.
So how does that compare to what current people have right now?
So current people right now, there's no network. There's no.
Hey, can I, I'm raising my hand like a good student. So, but let's refer back to 98% of your usage right now, now that they have access to our claims, 98%, all the doctors that you currently are using that you're going to see right now are all in the network. So remember, you're 98% covered. So just to give you a size of, Dave spoke a little bit too, and I know it's hard to kind of fathom or put in your mind how much this is the biggest network in the United States, how big that is, and with working with Medicare, that kind of gives you an idea. So yeah, so basically all of the doctors that you're currently working with are in network. So I know that that's a fear, and so we want to make sure that we give you some context to work off of there. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Question, start the maximum, $8,000, say we go. Look at those that are pretty big before. And we only pay $8,000.
Yep.
And then above that, we'll pay that.
Excellus.
How does the region-wide that actors have and retirees have compare to the PTO that we're talking about here and PTO here?
So
Are they very similar? Because PTO used to be very restricted. The networks were small and you had a hard time finding them. It's not like that. So the current PTO with the region-wide and retired PTO with this PTO with the current region-wide, are they comparable?
very similar.
The question I can't answer.
Just talking about the differences between the current active PPO plan. There are some people that have a PPO plan today as an active versus the Medicare PPO. And we were just saying how the PPOs used to be very restrictive years ago, but they opened up quite a bit. And I was agreeing with that.
Just a general question. This is not on your chart, but if I were a patient and I was having certain chemo treatment and I needed to go to, say, Boston, where the treatment was such that I needed to be isolated, and my wife needed to be with me, because I do know of a situation where that has happened, and the spouse actually stayed at a hotel. I think it was for like 4 months, and the insurance paid for that coverage. The insurancy that I'm talking about was a teacher that worked, I believe, in Johnson City. Does this plan or any portions of this plan cover an event like that?
Yeah.
Would you?
Very specific.
Yeah.
Well, I would like that answer very much so.
Yeah.
So,
Well, those are the things that we're talking about. We suggest you
Right.
come in if you have a specific situation, and we can walk through and identify exactly what your situation is and give you an exact answer with money, with dollar signs on the end of it, where those benefits are.
well, I will give you my name and my number, and
Yeah,
you
we
can do the research and contact us. And I'm sure maybe the rest of these folks would like to know that answer too.
Is it okay if we share the answer with everybody?
Oh, that's what I just said, of course. That's what this is all about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just put it on the web or wherever you want to put it.
Yeah, well, I'll put it right in that website with, like a Q&A, an after report for questions. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate that we can have specific answers, but I don't know what's gonna happen to me like 5, 10, 15 years, so,
Wish I knew.
Yeah, and then, maybe I could just say to that is, we're an advocate for you. Right now you may have Medicare and then you're trying to fight, work with your doc and then you're trying to deal with Excellus and who's paying what. That's really where we come in. I mean, we can't necessarily answer every question that we don't, what's going to happen in the future. But we know these are proven plans. We know that we have dozens of schools utilizing them. We know that our team personally has helped thousands of retirees transition into these plans, and they're happy. I mean, it's actually like a really good thing.
Has there been a case where someone is on a treatment plan, they transition and they were not able to continue on their treatment plan, whatever it may have been? I don't even know what it could have been.
No, not in our experience. The only thing that would happen in that case is we would talk to that doc, make sure that whatever that question was that the insurers needed to know, that was provided. But there was never a case where this was covered and now you don't have coverage anymore. We haven't had that case. We've had very smooth transitions.
I'm Debbie Burke, I'm Bill's wife. I'm not a teacher, I'm a wife. There used to be insurance contracts where if they changed and you had a pre-qualifying condition, it wasn't covered. And I think that fear still lies. That's illegal. Insurance companies cannot do that.
Right. No pre-existing condition.
Right.
12-year anniversary today, actually. ACA.
See, I know that.
You guys didn't think I was smart.
The Medicare females. So like right now, for us, it comes out of our social security check. And then under our district contract, we send in the tax form and then we get reimbursed at the end of June. Does that all still continue that way? Under whatever? Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
yes, yep.
And if we choose like an advantage plan, it's still then, we still pay out of our social security, is that how it is, or? Still pay for
It would be the same. No
Yep.
change.
You're gonna pay less. I would say not be anything. But that, Medicare. Oh, I thought you were talking about your co-pay for the coverage. You're talking about Medicare? Oh, yeah, that would be the same. Yep, that would be the same. Sorry, thank you, yes.
If you're not collecting social security tax, then what?
So you have to be retired over the age of 65 to be able to be eligible for the Advantage plan?
I'm turning 65 in June.
Okay.
Oh, there.
So then what we normally would do is, probably 3 months prior to you turning 65, you want to
Now,
enroll in Medicare Part A and B. And then we work with Donna to make sure that we get you hooked up on the right plan effective June 1st.
after you've looked it up, the advantage plans, the two advantage plans, can you summarize high points of both plans?
Funny you should say that.
That's the next hour of the presentation. No, I mean, you guys will, I don't think we can handle another hour. But I do actually have handouts that we can leave with you, and I don't know how you want to handle it, but we did look at it as a third party.
And this is available on the website too. So if you lose it or, you spill coffee on it, admittedly like the one at my desk in my office, it's available on our website for you too.
So what we did was we took the current active plan and compared it to the two advantage plans. And we highlighted what we thought in a way to try to compare the three. And so I don't know if you'll see kind of like color coding, but it's a little bit specific.
I think Humana now, and I don't have any problems with it. I like it, and I will stay with that one, but I see this other one offered, and why should I use that one?
Right.
I don't know. I'm happy where I am. Is there an advantage for me to go switch to the other one that you see?
So there isn't as many advantages between the two advantage plans. The big advantage is a transition, but there are a couple little differences depending on your personal situation. Like one, like Humana covers compression stockings, for example.
It covers.
Impression stockings, like some like really weird detail. but I think everyone's got a copy of it now. And I know it's already 5:30, so I'm sure people are feeling dinner.
Or those people that might move out of state or return Florida or whatever.
Doesn't matter. You can live anywhere. Yeah, doesn't matter.
And if you travel a lot, and you're in the United States, correct?
Yeah, anywhere in the United States, travel. And so you can see this highlighted sheet. We started, and obviously we got to get clarification. Thank you for the feedback on the co-insurance, so we can make sure we correct some of that. But we'll see some of those, the red versus the green. And I know it doesn't replace, obviously, some of the feedback we heard about the current plan, but we wanted to point out what we saw as an independent consultants as the key differences between the three, and then help answer any questions. Again, we're gonna have to double check the Humana mail order. There's a couple things we'll have to update for everybody, but I think it's all positive, really.
They're doing stuff they told us they wouldn't do.
That's right.
I have a question about chiropractor, because I go regularly to a chiropractor, and it says under Humana that it's not all that's covered, I think, whereas right now all my things covered.
Yeah, so Humana does have, under chiropractics, the Humana plan covers all chiropractic. So there's no limitations. The Excellus plan only covers spinal manipulation.
No, it's the opposite. I'm here, it said, oh, but yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's
What would that be, like your hand or something? Okay, I was gonna say, because my understanding is chiropractic is spine, that's what it is, but okay.
No, they
Yeah, they do other, like, that's, okay, I got you, like hand or, okay.
electrics to my shoulder.
Really nothing to do with the chart, having to do with, for example, my husband is in the cardiologist's office, and the cardiologist ran out and he said, I want to see if a bed is available, your pulse rate's so low, you need to take the paper. 1, 2, 3, not a word about insurance. Now, I'm told from a person who owns the home health agency, it wouldn't go like that. That if you were with an Advantage plan, the cardiologist would have said, wait, let me call your insurance agency and then, I'll let you know what you can have.
not if it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, you're gonna be covered, and it's gonna be covered just like in network.
It wasn't that emergent, it was like, you need this. My point is, there was no talk about insurance, he just knew, the doctor knows, original Medicare.
Yeah, and it would be covered the same way as that too.
Would this be the same?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's Medicare.
yeah.
And it's still Excellus, still the same company, if you choose, unless you choose Humana, it's it would still be Excellus, so.
A question on the pharmacy. On your formulary that's attached.
Yeah.
Well, it's February 2021. We have that situation where the drug is discontinued for a year to year. All the, so.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And I don't know if everyone heard that, but there was a situation where there was a drug that got canceled and talked to themselves and they were able to get it added. So there are situations like that too. There's exceptions made, there's certain approvals made. And to answer your other question about the formulary, that is the most recent one we have, but that's also why we don't print it out often and have it laying around. So we'll always keep an updated one out there.
Yeah, we just got the 2022 one, they were just released it, so we'll make sure it's posted on the website.
Is it safe
Oh.
to say,
These ones that rates are posted here, are they, is that what the district pays?
That's the total premium. So depending on your contract with the district.
So if it's 100%, that's what we pay. If you have a contribution, it's what the retired employee plus the total cost. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, that adds up, though, right? Yeah.
Is it safe to say, if Excellus, our present Excellus, approved a medication that the doctor had to work with them and say, you know, call back and say, well, you need this, and then they say no, and they say yes, and it's finally yes. Is it safe to say they said yes, because it's Excellus, it's still yes, or is it now a whole new thing?
So I'm gonna say it's safe to say yes, but it does still have to, well, not in this case, because we got prior auth already approved. So sorry, if it already went through that process, it would be covered just like it is.
If it's already covered, it's covered.
That's right, yep, that's right.
Thank
I think for one thing, we ran into Humana last year when we looked up drugs. We had special experimental treatments going on. So with that, they couldn't commit to us. That would continue. So that was one of the reasons it's not a good plan. But the thing to do, I think, is to submit. Have people, anybody's got that situation. Yeah, this is experimental.
If we can submit an appeal, the one thing I did want to mention though, or clarify that Humana does require prior auth and step therapy. Okay, so transitioning, I think that's kind of what maybe someone was referring to is if you're taking a medication by going to Humana, what they normally do is if it requires prior auth, they just make sure that the doctor has done what they were supposed to do, which is a very standard process. These doctors are doing this every day, all day long, getting approvals or going through that process. So, and I know Mark's not here today, the business manager, but I know that transition went very smooth too for people that moved to Humana and had to go through the prior authorization process. It's just a matter of getting the doctor to give the insurance company the information that they need.
That's pretty much about second opinions. There's nothing here that talks about second opinions to go, like what I'm on right now, it's just, you can go get a second opinion, nobody questions it.
Sure.
So I don't know about these other claims.
You can get a second
It doesn't
opinion, sure.
say- That's what it is.
It doesn't say spelled out as an office visit.
Yeah,
It's not specified.
I mean, paying for this stuff.
Yeah, you'd be treating it as an office visit. Yeah, it doesn't matter that it's a second opinion. It would be paid just like a regular office visit. So, yep. So be covered. What are they going me or?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you set?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've.
The question, stay close, because you have all the answers, so I appreciate that. So there was some discussion and some questions, and I want to make sure I give credence to that too, about what is our plan or our intent to do, and I want to be very clear and upfront with that, and to answer your question about the letter, and to go back to that agreement. So what had happened is, we have a situation, and I'll pull it up on the screen here in just a second. We have a situation where we have an opportunity with a new product, within the consortium to stay with Excellus and offer the BTD, the Blue Cross Advantage plan. This is new for us to be able to offer that, although we've had a number of retirees already move to that in our region. It's new to us. So that, in order for you, I'm sure you're aware of the language of your contract that is very specific to what can be offered to our current employees and our retirees. So that would require us to have an agreement in place for us to be able to do that. So in my conversations with the groups that we met with, we wanted to go ahead and be able to put this out to our retirees as an option. And we had kind of a verbal agreement that we wanted to get there. There's some specifics that we have to iron out. So I want to be careful and say, I don't want to jump ahead and assume that we're going to have an agreement in place. And that's why I say our intent is to have an agreement in place, to have those two options in place. I hope you feel a little bit better about that. We had a verbal agreement in place, but we realized that there's some specific things that we need to iron out. At this time, I'd like to go through what our intent is in writing so that you can see that and understand where we're trying to go. Obviously, this is a specialized rate that we have an opportunity to go to. It's a group rate. It's not something that you go out to as an individual and broker for on the open street and be able to get this rate and this kind of coverage. So it behooves us, it benefits us in order to have access to it, we need a group of people, right? So that's why it also obviously the savings, with the reduced costs, that if it is in our best interest, but also in the group's best interest to protect those rates and protect those plans, that we move everybody together. So what we're asking for as an agreement, I guess it's kind of a little bit different way to say that, since we don't have a full agreement in place right now. What we're asking for is, just to fast forward back through mine. So the next steps, what we'd like to do is we'd like each eligible retiree that's 65 and over to choose one of those plans that I put in the letter, the Humana plan or the new Excellus Blue Cross Advantage plan. And then we're asking you to try it for 1 year. We would do a specialized enrollment to clarify your question. That's a very good question about those enrollment dates. So we would have our own preferred enrollment date. So it would be exactly 1 year, it would be July 1st to July 1st. We would probably put something out, I think April, we said, Jack. So in April, we sent out a letter to say, hey, do you want to stick with it or do you want to go back to the old insurance? So we're asking you to try it for a year. And then after that year, if you stay with it, we'll give you $1,000 as a thank you. Obviously, we're saving money on that. It helps with it, maybe some of your Medicare costs or maybe anything down the road, but it's really our thank you because you're taking that leap and you're putting trust in us. We realize that this is a trust situation. And we also will have that guarantee that we put in place that, we're just going to cover anything that would be covered. So if you end up with that doctor, you find that one doctor in the nation that's not in network, you do your research, we're going to cover that cost. So we're putting that guarantee in writing for you. So we're allowing you to go back to answer your question. We would ask you upfront to pick one of these two plans. We would allow you after a year, if you're unhappy for any reason, to go back to the old plan. If you stay, we're going to give you $1,000 as a thank you. And then in the meantime, if you experience any bill that you think should have been paid, you send it to us, and if it should have been covered, we will pay it for you. So really what we're trying to set up here is an agreement for everybody to try it. Obviously, we want to incentivize people to try it because we showed you the numbers. There's a huge amount of savings, potential savings for the district. We are trying to maintain programs. We're trying to maintain the best possible education we can for our teachers. This is a small piece of that. We're not asking you to fund current education. We're just trying to, like I said, there's all pieces of the puzzle. We also have work to do. I've already started talking with our groups now about our current groups now about education about current insurance, and that's a different situation. So because that premium rate is still going up regardless of our retirees. So we're working on all those items, and that is a big, kind of two-headed dragon that we need to slay together. So.
Can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for me.
Yes.
I'm insulted.
Okay.
That you are willing to pay me $1,000.
Okay.
That's insulting.
Well, we're trying to.
It may not be
Yeah.
for other people, but it is to me. You're trying to
Yeah.
bribe me,
Okay.
and it's an insult.
That's not the intent. The intent is to compensate for any inconveniences that you might have had and taking an opportunity to take the risk with us. That's what the intent of it for. And you'll see on there too, there's also a question. I know there were some questions about the current employees. What we do for them is in this situation for our current employees, we have right now, the situation is the consortium has for Shenango Forks a number of retirees, it's 100 and I don't even know the total, 100 and something retirees that are 65 and over that we're paying full premiums for, and they're generating no claims. So do you think the consortium would want to keep them? Absolutely they do. They're collecting all this money and they're not paying out any bills. So they want to keep us in that set. Because it improves our performance. Right now, because of just claims that are unattributed to you, that's what insurance is for. We have claims that are very high and we're maxing out on our insurance rates. So what that means is because our performance is bad right now across the board, our insurance rates are maxing out they're projected to max out for the next 3 years or so. So what could happen is in the future, next year, we don't anticipate this is going to happen. We've already looked at our performance for this year, and it's not good. We're maxed out for next year. So we anticipate that max increase again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. But if magically, we all of a sudden start doing better, the consortium looks at our performance over 3 years, and by taking you great performers out of that consortium, it might slow the current teachers' recovery in that area by about 0.5% to 1%. So in that case, you know, in that situation, we are putting a protection in for those teachers too, going straight into their insurance to help them with that, to make sure that we offset that. So that's not meant to be a payout or a bracket, or, you know, we're not trying to insult anybody, but it's protection that we're putting in place for the current teachers as well. Yes, ma'am.
But the actives, if I understand, if they get $1,000, if this all works out, that just doesn't seem right. Either give them $1,000 if it doesn't work out, or if it does work out, or don't give them anything.
So what would happen is they would, in the oncoming years, as their performance improves, that's slowing, because they are paying a percentage of their premiums, or so they would have to pay a little more, so this is built to offset that over the next few years. Yeah. You're saying it should be delayed a little bit?
Well, not when they have to vote on something.
Right.
You know, a 20-year-old's gonna say, give me $1,000.
And we're not handing, and I want to be clear too, we're not handing a check for $1,000. You know, in our proposed agreement, this is, again, I want to be fully clear, this hasn't been agreed to yet. What we're proposing is it would help offset premium payments up to $1,000.
Give it to everybody regardless. It just feels muddy. It feels muddy with a vote. You know, it feels muddy with some.
It's meant to offset that. That's not the intent. That's all I can say. Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. Oh, did you hear that? Go ahead.
The language that you're saying, if it should have been covered, could you have language that says if it was covered, if you were already on that? That's my intent. I don't personally see the difference in that, but that is, if it was covered before, we're gonna cover it now. Yep. It could be both.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. And or, how about that with the slash? There you go. Very good suggestion. Thank you. Question back here, yes.
Is this, I get it, after a year to stay with it, for a second year you get $1,000.
Yes.
If 3 years down the road you decide you want to go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
We would, you have 1 year. Yeah, yeah.
Will you go 3 years later, 5 years later?
Sorry.
That's what?
Chris.
So the agreement that we're working with the CFTA is for 1 year. Next year, we'll be negotiating the subsequent contract. So this would only be a 1 year thing we're talking.
Yeah, we're trying this for 1 year to get data. So this is.
That would be a negotiated topic and then negotiation.
Yeah, the whole agreement would expire the way that we've designed it now in a year, and we would need to negotiate something into the formal contract to continue offering that Excellus benefit.
So to go to the managed care, we only have 1 year to get back to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
That's what we're saying. That may be the case.
With this agreement. Yeah, I mean, this agreement's only for 1 year. We have, the idea is to get data, we already have a ton of data, but as we know, Shenango Forks is special, this individual group of people, we want to make sure we've done the analysis on the front end. Jad provided some great data, so we want to make sure that is actually how it plays out, right? Because you've already kind of suggested a few things where you're getting a little bit better benefit than what it even says on paper, so we want to double check those things. So this gives us an opportunity to make sure there's also some intangibles too, right? We're talking about service, you know, how you're being treated when you have a question, you call on the phone, those types of things. We want to make sure that that's responsive. So we want to guarantee that you're happy with that product, and we want to hear if you're not, so that we can make sure that we fix it. But I know that there's, if you have another hour and a half, I can go through that whole piece on you, but with the new regulations in place, they have to keep a high quality customer service rating, or they don't get the rates that to be able to even be competitive in this market. So they have to get good reviews by you, or they get kicked out. Correct, Seth? Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, 1 year to change my mind.
Under the current agreement is just for a year. So yeah, we're not beyond that. We wouldn't, I can't speculate on that because we don't have an agreement beyond that. This again is just what we proposed for this year. It is not agreed upon at this point. So unfortunately, at this time, we're hoping to be able to offer that Excellus plan. And I think we're, you know, in mindset and philosophy, we're in the same place. We just kind of have to iron out the wording. Because like you said, you mentioned some different words there and things like that that we would need to put together. Yes.
Okay, we spoke of, the renewal is actually January, but you're speaking of a year.
Yeah.
Is that July?
July to July. We're going to do a special enrollment
And
for
are
this.
these are the renewal rates?
Those are the rates effective July, well, so the rates now.
Yeah.
The rates will change potentially for Humana and Excellus January 1st.
So these are good through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. But we will have a special enrollment period, so it'll be July 1st to July 1st for this period. So we would, like I said, around April, we'll reach out to you to.
So are you gonna do the same thing instead of paying the annual contribution, it'll be biannual?
Yeah, that will not change. Yep. Yeah, that will not change. Yep. Chris, did you have something you wanted to add? Oh,
Yeah, no, I just want to clarify, the contract language that exists in the contract will only be modified for a year. Once the year is up, the language that you guys sacrifice for is still going to be in place at the end of the year. Now, if things go well, the district will look to modify that language, and that'll be a discussion we have with the CFPA at that time when we negotiate with the CFPA.
And if it went well, our intent is to continue along with what we're, right? So the agreement that we're presently talking about.
You'll continue to ride.
That's not my intent, as I said before. No, that wasn't my intent. Our intent is to help with the transition.
No, that is the intent.
Yeah, I apologize if you take it that way. I guess we agree to disagree. That's not my intent.
So it is the intent.
Well,
And that's-
yeah, I explained.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I explained the mentality behind it, and if you don't agree, I apologize, but that is the reasoning that we looked at. And it's about being fully transparent with our current CFPA. We told them at our insurance meeting with the whole group of, this could, down the road, is something we want to eye if we take this really high performing group out of your insurance, it could affect your rate. So, and we did tell them that up front so that they were aware. So it's just about trying to be transparent and help with those adjustments. Yeah, so
to get the rates down more, could you combine with other school districts?
Well, the consortium, yeah, we share the risk. The consortium as a whole, we just did a whole informational piece for all of our current teachers on how the consortium works. And we are essentially combining, the consortium is the combination of local school districts that work together to share that risk. It's what you probably wouldn't realize is that essentially what schools do in that consortium is it's a pool of money we pay into, but over a 3-year period, we pay every penny on the dollar for every claim that comes into that, that is billed to them. So it's not like, your car insurance, if you pay your premium and then you get in an accident and they may or may not raise your insurance. We pay penny for penny from the consortium every claim that gets billed to them.
So
it's just over a 3-year period.
So in the consortium, you're counting all those individuals.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, that does help us. Yeah. So where we benefit from that, in this case, we were expecting actually our family plan you were actually anticipating was going to go up over $30,000 this year. So where we benefited was the normal increase rate, the flat increase rate for the consortium is about 5 to 6%. So every year, you're basically guaranteed that your insurance rate is going to go up about 5 to 6%. That's the average in the consortium over the past years. Because of COVID, interestingly, over the last few years, nobody, unless they were very sick and had COVID, they didn't go to the doctor. So actually claims, believe it or not, went way down in the consortium. And because the whole consortium performed so much better, the flat rate from the consortium across the board, the raise is only 3% as opposed to 5 or 6%. So we got saved, because we were in the consortium, we got saved about 3% of our increase. Yes.
So I just want to understand the timeline. If a person is considering making the switch, but needs to know that there's a pathway back to the classic blue, when is their contract language going to be decided, voted, and because we have a July 1st?
Yeah, our hope is that in the next few weeks, and then we would like to enroll, we'd send out paperwork in around the May timeframe. Yeah, around May or before, hopefully before the beginning of June. And our intent would be to move people July 1st. And then next April, we would send out those follow-up letters to see who's happy and who's not, and give those people an opportunity to move back. April, around mid-April, probably May, around that same time, about that year.
So you'll keep us informed as to
Sure.
the progression with these.
Yes, yeah, I said one thing, regardless of where we go with this, that I like is that I love that section in that retiree information section that we have on the website. We want to keep that rolling. And also, maybe make some subfolders with some events and things like that. If we can provide some more information for the retirees, that would help too. That would be in, that their email chains and things of that nature that you rely heavily. But if there's just, a flyer we can put up about an event or something like that, we would love to keep that as well. So yeah, our intent overall is to keep you informed and keep you connected with Shenango Forest School District. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So this is the question for you, Tom, and Ron and Ron.
Sure.
So there's been a lot of very good questions that have been asked.
Absolutely.
But I haven't seen anybody taking notes in order to answer these questions, particularly my question and all the other folks.
Yeah, that's why we record.
So I just want to be clear
Yeah.
that you guys are going to go back and look at these things and give us all the answers. Again, that's great. Again, I just want to be transparent.
Yep.
And I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, because these folks spend a lot of time answering, listening to this question, which is great.
What I plan on doing for my end is I'm gonna watch this recording over again and go through that and look at that piece. And then also, Jack, as it looks like over there, they're taking great notes. So we'll make sure we get, and I think your idea too is great to put that right up on the website for everybody, just, for some of those general questions that we can answer for everybody.
Great. Again, just in summary, I just want to make sure that none of this is missed. I
Sure.
appreciate your
Yeah,
answer.
thank you. Yeah, no, you had a great idea. Yes, ma'am?
Retirees 65 plus have the choice between those two advantage plans, but it doesn't say anything about us having the choice between what we have now.
Yeah, so that is.
Is that going to be included?
That is right here at the last bullet. Sorry, my finger doesn't make a laser point, but if you look at the last bullet, it says the second to last bullet, after 1 year, you may choose to go back to your previous insurance by request of the district. So we'll send you that letter and you can go back.
What if you don't want to change now?
Our intent, like I said, what we're proposing, it's not agreed to yet, is that we would like everybody to try one of those two plans for the first year. That's what our ask is.
So you're gonna get language to say that everybody has to go to it.
Yes.
Nobody can choose to stay.
Yeah, and then you can choose to go back after that year if you'd like to. Yeah, we're asking you to try it for a year. Yep. We believe the data shows that you will be happier. That's what we're gambling on. And our ask is that you try it, and then if you don't like it, we will give you the opportunity to go back. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to say that I've been on Humana since this last time we changed, and I'll tell you, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't understand it. If you're on 65, if you're on Medicare at 65. I have not been a doctor, I just came through back in Texas, and there's doctors all over that take this insurance. I've not run into one doctor.
Yeah, again, I'll preface this with, we realize that everybody's situation is different. We understand you have individual concerns about your own situation, but across the board, from multiple districts that we've gained data from, people have reported to us that they're happier with these moves, that they get better service, they get better communication. In some area, they're experiencing a better product as a result of the move. Thank you for sharing that. So, and I understand, and we understand that might be different. You might be in a different situation. We totally get that, but across the board, in my experience with two different districts and also talking to superintendents from other local districts that have made the move in the last few years, they have not received any large complaints or anything that needed to be addressed by the district as an issue. Yes.
Is there a way that you could accomplish pleasing the people that don't want to change, don't want an advantage plan, we're wrong, it's great, we believe what we want, and yet get enough people to go, that want to go over, because some people are saying it's wonderful, and then it would help then retirees that are happy, and money would be saved. Can you please let people that want to stay with original Medicare and the indemnity plan, and yet get people to move? Is there some way everybody wins?
There's an agreement right now, your previous MOU that's in place right now for the next few years, has the Humana plan, which allows for that right now. But we wouldn't incur the savings obviously, if we only moved a few groups of people. The benefit and the protection of maintaining those plans are in numbers. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I mean, we have to, every time there's another idea that's presented, what I have to do is we get our business official, we have to go back and run numbers on that and see what the option is. But I mean, things are possible. It's just.
Maybe enough people will want to go to it.
But I don't want to bribe people. So that's, we're looking at, focusing on insurance benefits for people. So, yes, sir.
Is there a procedure in place for applying, do we need to have a procedure in place if there are costs that are
Yeah, we have a procedure. Here's a procedure. You send us the bill.
set up a procedure online?
Oh, yeah. Like, maybe, we'll have a link up there, our business official. You can click and contact, if you want to send an email, you're saying, or a scan of that bill or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I appreciate all the information, but they're big bills for some of us.
Yeah. No, I understand that, yeah. Hey, truth be told, I have a family of 6, including me, 4 kids, where my wife is a teacher currently. We're on her insurance. It's the same Excellus insurance. I do love it. So, I understand, a couple kids have a bad month. Yeah. I've seen some big bills too. So I'm just saying that, yeah. Yeah. So
that's coming your way.
Yeah. No, we understand. And that's what insurance is for, right? So we want to make sure that it's there to protect you. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
If a retired teacher will not be 65 by July 1st, that's been rendered, but their spouse is 65.
I'm already indirectly looking at dates because he's going to get to this. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do they have to stay in
So if you're 65,
well, I'm talking about women.
My husband's already 65. We're not, so. Family. So do I end up having to speak on this new one? It doesn't start till November.
right, you need to be 65 and retired and enrolled in Part A, Part B. So if you're not eligible, but your spouse is eligible, then they can enroll.
So what happens to me?
Then you would stay on the active plan as a single.
Yep.
But she has to switch as soon as she gets a job.
Well, that would be.
We'll have to talk about that a year from now, right? So we don't have that in place yet. So.
That's not a year.
That's for 65,
So
so you're saying I have to go by July 1st?
Is the qualified?
yeah, so the same thing would be the person who's going to 90 days prior to turning 65, you want to coordinate, make sure you're enrolled in Part A, Part B, and want to enroll in Part B.
So from July 1st to October, my birthday.
You're on the active plan as a single person, and then we would transition with no lapse of coverage.
If she doesn't want to transition.
Well, that's. I'm just answering how you would transition.
Yeah. That would be back to where our agreement falls. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
And the 2 advantage
negotiations? Do they go for what our plan would be or what we retire under?
Yeah.
How's all that work?
Chris, you want to answer that? You have better with the technical language than I do. Yeah. So she was asking, how does that work as far as the agreement goes with the CFPA? It would be, with the agreement would be the CFPA current, and it would also, they're negotiating a new contract next year, which is why we want to do that. This is timely to do that trial for the year, so that if it works really well, people like it, we have the potential of putting it into the contract moving forward. So that's the reason for that timing. Does that answer your question, or were you?
No, I'm wondering if they, to change what we retire.
So,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So there's two things that factor into that question. One is the health insurance moratorium that says there can't be a change in benefits for retirees from the current plan.
Right.
So and that's what we're talking about here with the guarantee to cover any differences. So there would be no, right? So there would be no effect on the retiree. The second is the contract language that's in place that specifically names the two plans that are available for retirees. What we look to do is for this year is to add in the Excellus plan. We already did a contract addendum for Humana, but to clarify kind of what is on that slide. In the future, that would be a topic of negotiation that we would negotiate with the CFPA.
Yeah, we would like to make those permanent if it works well. So we anticipate that it will. We have lots of data that says that it will. It's a 90%. It's showing that 90% of all claims are covered, even going to this new model presently. So, that's what we're basing this on. It is an opportunity for us, and also 54 for next year of your current CFTA retirees to save quite a bit of money without experiencing diminishment in their benefits. Yes, ma'am.
If we do not choose Humana or Blue Cross Blue Shield, will you make the choice for us?
That's a good question. We would have to discuss that, how that would work. Our thought would be it would divert to the Excellus Advantage plan, but just off the top of my head, but that would be something that we would have to discuss. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So you have retired administrators in the district whose contract was not negotiated through CFTA. Where do those contracts lie?
We're looking to do the same thing with them next. Yep. Yeah. They're on the Humana option.
So if you're,
We would like to offer that to.
if you're talking about a superintendent or someone like that,
Yes.
that's a separate situation. We're talking about CFTA right.
Our intent in general is we would like to have and there's other groups that we've already moved, but our intent is to move every retiree that's 65 and over, we would like to move to one of these advantage
So are you contacting the retired superintendents individually?
We have, this whole MOA, this whole conversation has been about
CFTA.
CFTA, yeah. I haven't even had that conversation with Tom yet on the people who are not covered under the CFTA, because with the exception of retired superintendents and administrators in CFTA, everyone would make the move.
Yeah, everybody else has been moved already.
So we have not had a conversation about any retired people on their own individual contracts.
The people that you have moved already do not have what we have in our contract.
That is correct.
That is correct. Yep.
So that decision was made you made that decision for them.
Correct.
Right.
We're protected by that contract.
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. Yep.
Yes, agreed.
It's your right. Right, for people to change.
All right, I have 6:00, 6:05. I'm happy to stay and talk to any people individually that might have questions, or I don't know if Ron and Brown get his dinner on the stove, but I think they can stick around for a little bit too. But we're gonna hold everybody else up, and I believe, we've hit all the material that we needed to hit and answer a lot of good questions. Thank you, and I appreciate taking the time to come out in person and learn with us. So thank you. Have a good night.